Good morning, everybody. How you doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
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 So today is a spectacular day for us. And I know some of you are gonna be like, Rob, you're out of your mind, but today really is a great day. Today's session, I'm going to talk about the process, and I'm going to stay away from state-specific changes because those are going to be handled weekly by our state leadership. But there are universal principles that will help us all, no matter what state we're in. And many of these principles are foundational sales principles that we're going to talk about, and it's all based on delivering value and getting paid for the value that we can deliver. So if you have questions about the state that you're operating in, please defer those. I'm going to give you an excellent way to address all of those on a regular basis and have a outlet to get answers virtually unlimited. But before we get started, while people are strolling in, there's some excellent news. Hang on. There's some excellent news that came out today, and it's been happening over the past week. And our lending partner at Cornerstone First, Joelle is going to share with us what's going on. So I'm envious of you, Joelle. This is epic.
It is actually, you were saying it's a great day. I would say it's actually a grand day today. Wow. Big news today. The July non-farm payroll came in way under expected. What does that mean? It came in 114 versus 176,000. Everything about this report that came out today was terrible. Not one positive thing. Also, the unemployment rate ticked up to 4.3 from 4.1. Great news. The 10-year bond that actually dropped, it plunged actually to 3.79. So what does this mean for rates? Mortgage bonds are actually pushing higher this morning. That means we'll probably see about a 1/4 point decrease in rates that are on our rate sheet today. This is
Hold on, Joelle, for us non-lending people, you said mortgages are trending higher. You need to explain that to everybody.
So what I mean by that is mortgage bonds, that's what interest rates are derived from. Your 30-year fixed, your 15-year fixed, all your interest rate are driven by mortgage-backed securities. Mortgage-backed securities are actually rallying today. They're up 22 basis points. So when we see a green on a mortgage-backed security that's trading, that's positive news for us. So if I'm saying in my weekly or my daily market updates, mortgage bonds are trending higher, that's great news.
So from a lender standpoint, I don't know if, or excuse me, from a realtor standpoint, I don't know if lenders use this resource, but there is a site called Mortgage News Daily, which is free, and it gives you an idea of how the generic mortgage is trending. Now, I would caution you if you see something there where it's like 6.8. I mean, it depends on the product, depends on the state, depends on your credit score, your down payment. So it's just a barometer. But if you're a curious person like I am, it's an excellent site to get a pulse on what's happening. And I probably would share that with my consumers because, if some people see that, they might be discouraged and some might be encouraged, but you'll at least identify and shake the tree to find out who is right for doing business. So I didn't mean to steal that away from you, but I wanted you to be that expert and share with them. And in realtor talk, when bonds rally, that means that you can get, like, if it goes up 2 points, that means that in general, what you would have paid yesterday, like 2 percentage points to get 6 3/4, now you can get with 0 points because the bonds rallied. So this is all great news.
Yes.
You should be leaning into our lending partners for communicating this and putting a video on your communication out to your clients. You talking to our partner, or maybe our partner can do a video and just share that with you. But this should shake the tree, and we should be preparing for abundance.
How do I do?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a great website, the Mortgage News Daily. I do actually advise a lot of my clients, if they want to follow rate, to definitely, use that website. However, what I have is I have a paid subscription to what's called Mortgage Market Guide. And that's where I get inside, first, I see live bond trading. When I mean by bond, mortgage-backed security. So if I look right now, we're currently up 22 basis points. So what does that mean? When rates are released, we'll probably see an 1/8 to 1/4 decrease in rate from where it was yesterday. So this is great news. Now we have, anybody that's teetering at a 50% debt to income ratio, and they're, maxing out their buying power. Now that's just, put them a little bit more to increase their buying power with rates coming down. And he's also too, Powell said that, a rate cut in September is absolutely on the table. So this is great. Great news all around.
Now, I heard, I don't know if you heard, is there like a probability now of it being maybe even bigger?
Yes. So there's a 72% probability that it's going to be about a 1/2 of a
50
basis points decrease.
50, like that wasn't even talked about months ago.
Yeah.
And
Hey, Rob,
yes,
I'm sorry to cut you off. Can you mute everybody and then just unmute yourself again?
yes,
Thank
there you
you.
go. So Joel, you have to unmute yourself. So I'm going to do one other little bit of information and say that mortgage rates react in anticipation. So when the rate cut happens, like a client that's talking to our lending partner the day before the cut happens, when the cut actually happens, it's like a non-event, because
Correct.
all the mortgage rates that are coming down right now are anticipation of that rate cut happening.
Correct.
So if you want to get excited this weekend, this is like the best news ever. And there was some good news in there, Joel, which is that the labor participation rate is increasing, which is more people are now entering the job market because I guess their savings have dwindled, which is going to be it's going to be good for the economy, and it's also going to stabilize inflation because workers can't command whatever price they want. They're now going to have to compete with others.
Yeah.
So I think that's a more normal market. It's like buyers and sellers. If there are no sellers, the buyers have to pay ridiculous prices. If there are no workers, employers have to pay ridiculous prices and pass that on to consumers, causing inflation, raising interest rates. So I am super psyched about that. And then I'm even equally or more excited to talk to you about this topic of overcoming objections and the success formula. And I process everything that's going on, and I'm going to separate it into two things. One is all these regulatory changes that are happening, and there's uncertainty, and you're waiting for this form to come out, and then that form is replaced. And I was at a meeting with leadership in one of our states, and 2 attorneys at the state level were giving us conflicting information. That's how fresh and how subject to interpretation this data is. So if you're going to sit back and wait till everything is resolved, the other 115 people on this call are going to be eating your lunch. They're going to be taking your clients. Okay. I'm going to ask this question, and if you want to maybe put it in the chat, do you think that the real estate transaction in September is going to be more or less complex than it was in September of last year before all these changes? Who thinks it's going to be easier, and who thinks it's going to be more complex? I see one the same, not everybody at once. I see a few more complex. So I'm telling you, with all these rules changing, it's getting to be more complex, right? And the more complexity there is, the more opportunity there is for us to differentiate ourselves from the competition, who is, quite frankly, they're in bed at 9:30 on a Friday morning. They're not investing in their future, right? So I'm going to share my screen here, and I want to talk to you about, let me find my document, overcoming objections.
I just wanted to ask, before you get into the heart of this, could I just do a quick public service announcement?
Sure.
So, and this is by no means to get people really worked up or anything, but I just did want to share with you, those of you who don't know, my wife and I just came back from a long vacation trip to find out that we both had COVID. And in talking to several of our friends, we started hearing stories about lots of people that they knew have COVID. So I just wanted you to be aware that even though we haven't talked about it, we haven't thought about it, but it's still out there. So please just be careful and keep it in the back of your mind. Thanks.
Thank you. And you have to say, both you and Elise are doing well, right?
Yes, we are. We're
Don't
doing
leave
much
us
better.
hanging here.
You know, the Paxlovid is readily available, which really speeds up your getting better. So
Fantastic. Well, thank you for, COVID has taken a back seat behind a few things now, but it's still out there and we should still have an awareness of that. So I'm going to start by this statement. Selling real estate is getting more complex than ever. Doesn't matter what state you're in, there's changes happening left and right. We're probably having more changes in the last 90 days than we've had in 10 years. And if you're on camera, just shake your head if you agree, because I don't see anything where I've seen this much change in a short period of time. And I'm going to go through the success formula, and I'm going to give you some foundations to really be able to identify what a great resource and a great agent you are, so we don't get distracted by the noise and just focus on who's going to be offering to do it for less, and what if somebody doesn't want to sign, and what about, like, those are all the details. That's the noise. A lot of this noise goes away if you, for the next 42 minutes, I want you to, or 48 minutes, I want you to think about what I'm talking about here. Forget about all the changes and the paperwork and everything. So the ultimate success formula is to identify customers who need our service. There are a tremendous amount of people that want to buy houses now that haven't been able to do it. Okay, part of our skill is not just selling houses, is to identify the right people who are ready, willing, and able to transact business in this market. Because there are sad stories about people who who are priced out, and we can't save every puppy. We have to figure out people that we can help and focus on how we do that. Okay. We have to have a value-driven relationship building process, right? We can't be, no offense to used car salespeople, but we can't be used car salespeople. We have to have our value prop stone cold. Okay. People, my visual for this is, the real estate industry, 90% of people are chasing clients. And there's 10% of people who are putting out content and delivering excellent service, that what they're doing is they're fielding inquiries and identifying who they can service, right? So it's are we chasing them or are they seeking us? Okay, I'm going to repeat that. Are clients, are we chasing clients, right? That visual, we're all running at, oh, there's a buyer, oh, there's a listing, we're all running after it. Or are we positioning ourselves as an expert where people want to have a conversation with us before they make a decision?
Yes.
And that's the visual. Now, if you work with buyers, for the first time in my career, we're going to know if we're hired, right? We're not going to think we're hired, because we've all had experiences where we thought somebody was working with us and we found out that they cheated on us and bought with somebody else, right? Now, that's a deflating experience. And now the playing field is leveled. Everybody's going to need to sign a buyer's agency agreement. I think a lot of people are going to whiff, and they're going to try to take the shortcut and say, oh, I'll sign a buyer's agency agreement for 2 days and you can see if you like me, and do all these things to make it more comfortable for people to work with you for a day or two. Or we can use the opportunity to perfect our conversation, identify the value that we have, and think of it as a listing. Because we would never take a listing for a weekend, would we?
Gas station.
I'm gonna take, mute everybody again. Would we ever take a listing for a weekend and do all the work to prepare it, put it on the MLS, start to advertise it, and then say, okay, I didn't sell it this weekend, now you can go list it with somebody else?
No.
No, that's absolutely ridiculous. So now we just need to change our, career-long identity for how we work with buyers. And if we were never to have any experience and we were to come into the process today, this would seem to make more sense than the way it was done before, right? Where everybody hires whoever they're working with, right? It was like the only profession where, we were like free agents and hoping that we got paid. And that process also fostered the DDOs, right? Does anybody know what a DDO is? Come on, tribe. I know some of you know what a DDO is. All right, it's a designated door opener. It's the person that opened the door and showed your client a house and stole your commission. Those are gone now, right? So if you're away for the weekend, your client's not going to call somebody and say, show me this house, and give you a Dear John or Dear Sally letter. Once hired, okay, communication with your client, communicate with your clients exactly what it takes to complete a transaction in this market. That's the only thing that we need to do. We need to guide them on what it takes to be a successful buyer, seller, landlord, renter, whatever they're doing. We need to be able to give them the exact path to get it done. And, if there are inventory shortages because interest rates are going up, which will probably bring buyers out, look at my face. I am not intimidated to compete with inventory. If you know what you're doing, I can tell. If Joelle was my client, I can tell her exactly what it takes to get a house in this market. I can guide her, give her the information, and worst case, the second house we've been on, we're going to be moving into. And most likelihood, it's the first house. But I'm going to be honest and tell her that this house is fresh on the market. The last 4 of them have sold for 109% of ask price and have got under contract in less than 7 days. So if you're interested in this, I'm not selling you, I'm educating you on what it takes to get it done. Well, if you want to buy a house, there's a process. And even in the worst part of the market, we went from 6 million to 4 million. So there's only 1/3 of the inventory is gone. Let that 1/3 of the inventory be absorbed by the people who aren't here on a Friday morning at 9:30 investing in themselves. Let that 1/3 be spread out with all those agents that do nothing. Okay, and the people that are committed, once we identify them, will be successful. So the first process is knowledge is confidence. Okay, knowledge isn't power, knowledge is confidence. So if somebody's talking to you and you don't talk with absolute certainty and confidence, you're not going to have a very good batting average. Okay, it's going to be like, years ago, I used to see agents would go out and show people houses, and they would say, oh, well, we show that house because once we show them that overpriced house that doesn't show well, we tell them that that's not what their listing should be like. Or when we go with buyers, we show them that house, and then they buy the next one because that house was so poorly positioned. So if you don't have your skills down, you're going to be the agent that they talk to, and you're setting the stage for the real agent to come and eat your lunch. But if you have the knowledge, it takes you to the second step, which is it gives you the confidence. That confidence from having knowledge gives you a charisma, an aura about the way you communicate. Okay, and clients want to work with somebody who has skills and can communicate what it takes. Okay, it all starts with the foundation, which is knowledge, right? If you're second guessing because you're uncertain about forms, new laws, and whatnot, you're going to be struggling. Your clients are not going to get the best of you. You're not going to meet the financial needs that you have. A whole lot of negative things happen if you don't invest in yourself and you don't have knowledge. And when you have something that you know about, does anybody, I'm just going to use an example here, and I'm not picking favorites, but if I talk to Renee Stone about horses, like, you know, she knows everything about it and she lights up like a candle. I don't know if Renee, are you on? I don't know, maybe she's not even on, but you know, you want to have that passion where somebody talks to you about real estate and you know exactly what's going on. Okay. Um, so the foundation is knowledge, and where a lot of our industry stops is we know what's happening, right? We're like, yeah, I don't need to show up on 9:30 on Friday because I know what's happening, right? Almost everybody knows that change is happening. How much of them understand it, right? So right now we're, as an industry, we're going through that understanding process. So I see what's happening. Now I'm trying to digest it. But if we can't have that third level skill, which is the ability to understand and explain to consumers what's happening, we're only going to be a fraction of where we can be. And I want to share with you like the difference between, you know, 1, 2, and 3. Like if you're in the upper echelon, you can explain it with confidence and charisma. You're going to be a top 0.5% of the agents. Like you're going to be the top half of the 1%. If you understand it well, you might be in the top 20%. And if you just know what's happening, you're in the bottom 80% that's doing nothing. Okay, so reading, understanding, and knowing what's happening is not enough. You know, having the ability to explain to people without ums, ahs, doubt, giving them cause for pause is where this business is going. That's the next level in this business, and I'm excited. I'm hoping that I can play a role in building up your confidence. We have some of the best in the field here, people with many, many years of experience, and I just hope to have a small part in giving you confidence to navigate through these recent changes and show your consumer what we're capable of doing.
Rob,
Yes.
I'm going to suggest that they practice. Role play in front of a mirror, role play with your peers, role play with your leadership. We're available here for you to support you, to help answer the questions and make it as smooth as possible. Confidence is everything.
So Colleen, this isn't a setup, but this is a good segue into what I'm going to share next. Is we've dedicated a page to our intranet site, which is goselectgroup.com, and I'm going to demonstrate it to you. But I don't want you to. I want you to look at me before you get distracted by what it actually looks like. On this page, we're going to identify most recent forms. We're going to do our best in all the markets we're in to say, hey, this is the latest news. It's going to be in one spot. Because if you're like me, there's gazillion emails, there's text messages, there's webinars to watch. You don't know if this has got the latest information. We're going to put all the latest information in one spot for you. So that eliminates that for you. You know, Fred, Fazia, you know, our Florida leadership team, and Adona and our New Jersey team have worked hard to put this together.
Morning. Must be Marvin. Hi, I'm Rob.
Okay. They've worked hard to do this. I'm going to share with you where that is, but that's going to take that anxiety out of the process so that we can focus on taking care of our clients. You know, I hope it's worthy of the great talent that we have here. I'm going to show it to you, and we're also going to have office hours. And for those of you who may not know, I do a team leader meeting every Monday at 8:30 for our team leaders. You're all invited if you're a team leader to join. And I listen to and I try to give macro advice for people building a team. And I got some advice from one of our successful team leaders, Glenn Baker, who said that he's constantly getting interrupted with good questions, but it was becoming unmanageable. So he created office hours. And I want to say from 1 to 2 every day, or 2 to 3, he hops on a Zoom link that everybody knows. And if you have questions, you hop on that Zoom link and he's there to answer any of your questions. And it makes for a much more efficient way to run the business. And for us, we're now going to launch office hours for New Jersey and Florida, where you'll have it on your hub. It will say when we have office hours. If you have questions that you have, and it's not urgent, please go to those office hours, ask those questions. Other people might have the same questions. We're going to put together a FAQ list of frequently asked questions that will be put on the hub. So if the questions are coming up consistent, you won't have to track one of us down and ask us a question if that's readily available. So I'm really super excited to be a servant and help you do this. And I thank our leadership team for, committing to office hours we're doing them, I think, at 10 o'clock and 6 o'clock on different days. And I'll share with you the hub. So hang on.
Hey, Rob,
Yes.
would it be possible to also do like a small example of what your conversation would look like regarding signing that buyer's agreement, especially someone that you've just met?
Absolutely. I'll be glad to do that. And Mickey, I'm just going to demonstrate where we can get this information on our hub. So our hub is goremaxselect.com. And then we have it is New Jersey, Florida, and Virginia Beach. I'm just going to pick New Jersey here first. Here's our agent hub. And we have this NAR settlement update link. And this is really NAR in New Jersey has its own. These are our office hours, Mondays and Wednesdays, 10 to 10:30, and Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m. to 6:30. You go to Zoom with Remax. You don't need an appointment. There will be a manager on duty that's qualified to answer any questions that you have, and then we'll be aggregating those questions to make them available to you whenever you need. And as always, we're always a text or a call away. And then here's the latest updates from your local board. And here's the latest updates from the national level, all in one spot. We have dates for the form, so you can see when they were issued, if it's the most recent. You don't have to look all over the place. I am super psyched about, serving our awesome team in a consistent manner where you have a way to go get information on a regular basis. So anybody have any questions? Anybody see that there may be some value to that?
So, Rob, I just wanted to mention one of the things Colleen said about talking with your peers. I actually had an opportunity while I was in Hawaii to meet my friend's realtor out there. And I certainly, I was not prepped for the conversation ahead of time. But she was at this party too. And we got into a conversation that went on for 45 minutes about the new rules and regulations and, the issue she was having with the members of her team, who saw this as being a real problem as opposed to a real opportunity. And it was just a great conversation. I learned some things, she learned some things. So I just want to say that talking with peers about it, I think is a really good opportunity to learn also. So,
Robert, a lot of our industry is in a fog. Okay, they're confused, and a lot of our industry thrives by confusion, right? That's why they're in this business, because they don't want to have discipline and structure. All right, so they're letting the noise control their future. I want to stop the noise and the interference from controlling the outcome. And your income is extremely important, but your income is only a reflection of the value that you deliver to the market, and your income is only a reflection of the people that you've served, right? So all of this comes together, and everything about it is good. Okay, because if you're not making what you desire to make, the good news is look to your left, look to your right. There's probably somebody on this Zoom meeting or in your office that's doing what you want to do, and they're all willing to pay it forward, especially in this market. I would venture to guess that 98% of our agents, if somebody called up and said, hey, Paul, Glenn, Renee, Eba, I'm so amazed at what you're accomplishing. Can you tell me how you're handling this? They would go out of their way to help you, because that's the culture that I see and I observe. And I'm not just saying it, because I see it before me all the time. And we're going to, we have to deal with the administrative issues. Everybody has to, but that's just, part of our process. We're not letting that control our day. We're not letting that control our business. And we're for damn sure not letting that control the narrative. Okay. So people want to buy houses. That's still the American dream. People need to sell houses. Okay. People outgrow houses, people get divorced, people need to change their living because they don't want to have a 4-bedroom house when there's only 2 people. We have a job that we need to do, and the industry is calling on us to step up with an elevated skill level, and more importantly, a high level of confidence and integrity to get the job done. Okay, and was that Mickey? Were you the one that asked me about, go over what that conversation might sound like?
Yes, that was me.
So my conversation would sound not salesy. My conversation would sound like, hey, Mickey, has anyone's taken the time to sit down with you and share with you how the process has changed? And most people are going to say no. And some people are going to say, oh, yeah, I know all about it. I'm not interested. And where we get tripped up as professionals is we take that one person that rejects us, and then we try to change our whole system to accommodate. Oh my God, I had $1 million buyer, Gary Singer, and they wouldn't sit down with me. They said they knew what was going on and they don't want to hear what I have to say. Well, maybe it was that those people were not good fits for us, or maybe it's that we didn't communicate it properly. Okay, it could be one of those 2 things. But I'm okay with either one of those. If I drop the ball, it's a call for me to elevate my game. And if those people are not people that I want to invest my time in, right, to try to complete a transaction, I'd rather know that early on in the process than, defer asking if we're going steady or if we're just, the realtor of the moment, right? I want to know that I'm contracted with you. Like, hey, Gary Singer, are we okay to work together, or did I miss something where, I can maybe answer some more questions to help you identify if I'm the agent that you want to commit to get your next house?
Yeah, loyalty is an important factor in relationships, and yeah.
Charisma matters too, right? I still remember 25 years ago walking into your open house and you're saying, welcome to your next home. And you had some authenticity, character, and is that true?
Charisma, yeah, that's correct.
But do you still do that?
I still do it.
So, and 25 years ago, I remember, Gary owned and ran a very big operation. We were competitors. And I was like, wow, this guy, I love what you did. And I told you then, and I'll tell you again, I just think it's different. It was authentic and it was you.
Thank
But,
you. Well, I'm happy to be with you.
Well, thank you.
Hey, Robert,
So-
I think for most of us, I'm good with explaining it to people that I've worked with because they see my value. My, I guess, not concerned, but how I'm going to deal with that for the person that I'm meeting for the first time. And I have to articulate, the changes and all that. So what is your suggestion on how to talk to someone that I just met?
So Mickey, I'm going to mute everybody if you can unmute yourself. So Mickey, great question. How do you do that with somebody that you just met? And I'm going to tell you that value is in the eye of the consumer, right? You can give tremendous value, but if they don't perceive it that way, that's the real scorecard, right? And part of that is having the ability to understand when it's not a transaction or it's not a client that you're going to win over to be a loyal customer. Okay. But the painful part is when you're the perfect fit for them, but we haven't had the communication strategy to get that done. So if I were having a conversation with you, Mickey, I'd say, hey, Mickey, has anyone, taken the time to sit down with you and share with you some of the changes and what it takes to be a successful buyer or seller in this market? And I think we're mostly talking about buyers now because that's where that contractual relationship is coming in where it did not exist before. Does that make
Yes, it's the
sense?
buyer. Yes, it's the buyer.
Right. So most people are going to be pitching up. They're going to be nervous to talk about it. They're going to want to have the shortest form to be signed with the least commitment so they have low resistance, right? I'm going to say, let's take the resistance up a level and say, hey, you know what, Mickey, I want to share with you what I do for my clients. And, I'm not right for everybody, but let's have a conversation about what you're looking to accomplish. I'll share with you, how I operate, and I'll even share with you a little bit about what I've done in the recent past. And we'll see if we can decide if it's a good fit for us. Right. And then you can kind of go into the details instead of fumbling through. Now you need to sign it by law. It's required. You know what I mean? Like everybody's going to be, defaulting to the deficit, which is you're not going to get the transaction by saying, well, everybody has to sign this, so you have to sign here, right? You're not going to win good relationships that way. You need to have your own voice, your own communication, and you need to be able to demonstrate the value to somebody who you just met. And a lot of people are like, well, yeah, well, how am I going to separate myself from them? Am I going to brag on myself the whole time? No, most people aren't going to do that. Most people are going to find a way to have a balancing human conversation, to talk to as many people as they can and identify the people that are going to be a good fit for them to have a positive outcome. Because if somebody works with you for a month and they don't get a house, do you think they say to themselves, and I want everybody to listen to this for a second. So if I worked with Mickey in the old way, I worked with her for a month and then I decided to go somewhere else. Mickey's going to say, I spent a month on them and then they left me. But the customer is going to say, I wasted a month of my time looking at houses and I didn't get one. So that's the definition of a lose-lose. We only look at it from our perspective. We said, I showed that person 11 houses over a month. I sacrificed my weekends. I missed my kid's softball game. And then now they're going with somebody else. Well, they're just as upset as you are. They didn't get their house. Right? We only look at it from our side. We don't look at it from the customer side. Do you think a customer would like to go through an experience where they look at 42 houses, make 9 offers, and it takes 5 months, or would they rather have somebody who gives them the tools and the resources to, get a house under contract and close with an average of 1.2 offers or 1.7 offers? And if I
Wow,
can
that's a
keep
little
track of
tough
that,
in today's market, but let's not even go there. I would still like to hear what your conversation would look like if you're talking to someone for the first time. What are you saying? And you're good at, and you have good dialogue, so let me hear it.
so my conversation is, hey, Mickey, I'm glad you came to my open house, or I'm glad that you inquired on Zillow, or however I met. And I would say something that is extended in my own voice and say, Mickey, has anyone taken the time to sit down with you and share what it takes to be successful at accomplishing what you're looking to do, at buying a $600,000 to $800,000 house in Northeast Bergen County, right? And if they're like, oh, I don't want to sit down with you, I'd say, all right, that's fine. I just, I'd recommend that you find somebody who invests a little bit of their time to understand what it is that you need and has the honesty, skills, and integrity to share with you what it takes to be successful and accomplish that. Because, I find that there's a lot of people that, don't have the playbook to be successful in this market. And I'm offering to sit down with you and share how that works.
So you wouldn't talk about the changes at all? You would just talk about what it takes to be a successful buyer?
Well, if I'm starting to talk about the changes, I'm heightening the anxiety level. And if I'm saying by law, you have to sign one, like before I build a relationship, I'm going backwards. Like I'm building a mountain to climb when I can just walk around it. Okay, so yes, those are all requirements that we need to comply with, but that's not how we need to lead the conversation by saying, by law, you're required to sign a contract with, like, the public doesn't care about that. The public wants a house. And if you can create a conversation and a situation where you can explain to them what it takes to be successful in buying that house, you're going to be the obvious choice, right? I will offer to go sit on these meetings with you, right? And I'll share with them, hey, this is what happens. Here's how the process works. And I will intentionally wait and they'll say, well, can I hire you? I guarantee you that with my conversation, they would be coming to me and saying, hey, Robert Garber, can I hire you? Hey, Mickey Lippman, can I hire you to do that for me? Instead of
Can I
you
make,
saying,
can I make a comment?
instead of you saying, well, hold on, let me just finish. Instead of you saying, well, here's the form you need to sign. But when I do that, I create resistance. But if I explain them what happens and here's what you need to do, I will get people and I will volunteer, Mickey, when I'm in New Jersey to sit with your client and have that conversation if you want. I don't want to steal your thunder, but I will have that conversation and they'll say, can we hire you? That's how good the conversation is going to be, and I guarantee it. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a quick comment. So I'm in getting this whole thing started, I started thinking like, what is the best way for me to approach this? And so what I did was with two particular buyers, I did two different things. So one buyer, I had a conversation with them over the phone, and then I sent them the agreement, and we had already discussed parts of the agreement. I sent it to them to review it and to call me back or set up a time to discuss what their concerns were. I had another client that I actually met in person, and I took the approach of dealing with it as if it were a listing appointment. So we go in for the listing appointment, we do our presentation, we present them with all the info. So I just kind of took that approach, and I felt that the one I met with in person had no problem signing it once I sat there and we built rapport and we talked, rather than the other one, the other person refused to sign it. And then the amount of time that passed between them not signing it and reaching out and everything, they just went and said, I just went and worked with someone else who told me I didn't have to sign it. So I think, sometimes, we're going to have to take that extra time to actually meet with the buyer and have a face-to-face with them and just kind of show them, what we have to offer. And I think there'll be a better level of comfort for them to actually sign it.
So Yolanda is an industry, and I appreciate you sharing. And for those of you who don't know, Yolanda is she's one of those 1%ers that can do anything in this business, just like Mickey and many of us. But it's a mindset. Okay. We as an industry got comfortable with running around with people and not having to ask for a commitment because it was easy. Anything worth having, not easy. Okay. If it's worth having a process to differentiate yourself. And for me, I think, a lot of agents on this Zoom meeting here primarily focused on listings because they want to run around with buyers, and probably they want to run around with buyers because their experience was they'd run around with buyers and then, they'd find out 6 months later that, Joe and Carolyn's, nephew got their real estate license. And after I toured them and educated them, they went and bought a house with somebody else. But that's not going to happen now, or it's going to happen a heck of a lot less because we are entering into a contract, and I want them to take that seriously. I want them to vet me out. I want them to ask me questions because honestly, we are the best of the best. And if they ask me questions, I'm going to pass the test. And Mickey, there's nobody that works harder than you. And I know what you do for your customers. Okay. You just need the bridge to figure out how you can find your voice to communicate with them and let them see that it's in their best interest, not yours, to sign a contract with you. And if we do a great job and you say, hey, I normally do a 90-day contract, they would say, could we do a 6-month one? Because I don't want you to fire me. Like, that's the value that that's what's in my head. That will probably never happen, but that's how I think.
Can I ask
Okay.
Yolanda a question?
Go
Yolanda,
ahead.
the client that you spoke to in person, which by the way, that's the only way that I would do it also in person. I would never do it over the phone. Was that a new client or was that someone you had already worked with?
Yes, that was, both of them were brand new clients. So I just felt like, let me split them into two and see, the level of comfort that I can sense from the client. And I felt like the client I met with in person, because I didn't go straight into, this is the law, this is the, I didn't go into any of that. We just kind of went over like her needs, how I would help her. And I felt like that she was just totally okay with signing it. And I also broke down, I read the agreement from like front to back several times, just so I would know how to like pinpoint certain clauses and what I would be doing ahead of time to try to make sure that I'm, trying to get the seller to pay the commission. And if at that point I had exhausted all of those avenues of trying to get the seller to pay, then they would be responsible for paying it. And I gave them the options of how they could go about doing that.
So let me, Mickey, was that helpful?
Yes, it was. Thank you.
So there was a question that, how do you go about finding out if the client has the money to pay for the commission? So the essence of a transaction hasn't changed. People aspire to buy a house. It's the American dream. That's what they want to do. The rules on how to get there have changed, right? There's no more or less money involved in a transaction than there was on August 2nd, than July 31st, or other states, August 20th versus August 10th. So there's still a commission, there's still compensation that needs to be paid to a buyer's agent. Okay, it still comes out of the whole transaction. As long as I've been in the business, the seller hasn't paid the commission until the buyer brought the money. So the buyer essentially has always been paying the commission. So I welcome this conversation, and I welcome the opportunity to differentiate myself. And I say, you know what? If you heard about what's going on, it's because buyers were denied the ability to determine the level of service that they wanted to contract for. And now in our new world, to protect consumers, and in New Jersey, it's called the Consumer Protection Enhancement Act, right? So it's protecting consumers. They are now requiring our relationship to be put into writing so that it's more transparent for everybody. So there's no more or less money involved in a transaction unless we make it so. And the buyer, in essence, was always bringing the funds to the closing to cover the buyer's real estate commission. My conversation would just be Yolanda, Mickey, Susanna. Now, we have an opportunity to determine what level of service that you want to contract for. I feel that if you hired me, my clients on average are finding a house in 52 days and making only 1.7 offers, looking at 4.2 houses. In the industry, that could be 9 months and then you give up. So I just wanted to share with you what it might look like. And if we're a good fit, here's how it works. Because I see the struggles that everybody in this call have gone through financially with all these changes, right? And we are not overpaid, okay? We undervalue the service that we deliver, or we can't communicate and articulate the value that we now need to deliver. So there's no more or less commission that's being paid by definition from these changes. It's just the process is changing. I think it's good. We have people who, work on a transaction, they get paid 2% and the listing agent gets paid 4%. They're like, Rob, this is so unfair. Like, you know what? Now it's going to be more leveled because we're going to determine how much we're going to get paid by our client. And then we're going to negotiate with the seller to get it paid. Like, I'm going to say that with absolute confidence so that this is not even, like, I'm not worried about this. I'm just not. I actually look at it as an opportunity of my career for us to identify who's really working with us. And every one of you on this call have had somebody that you've shown houses to that bought with a relative and used you. You have. You may not know it, but it's happened to you.
Yep.
Okay. So this is great. You know, I don't want to see these long faces on the call. I want you all to leave excited. I want you to be enthusiastic about communicating. I want you to be Gary Singer. Welcome to your next home, or welcome to your new home. Like, you need to have that charisma. You need to have that confidence. And if you don't believe absolute certainty that you're the right person to help somebody, then revisit your value proposition, reread the forms, identify what you want to do, or get a different job, because we need to be excited about our ability to help people. That's the only time we get paid. And this is the fairest industry in the world. And if I say I'm worth 3% to work with a buyer, and I can demonstrate that, and I'm going to tell them I'm going to negotiate, and I'm going to make the process simpler. You know, if you've been frustrated, if you're looking to buy a house and you're still looking to buy a house, right? Chances are you haven't met the person that succeeded, because then you would be off the market, right? So I'm that vehicle that's going to give you the connection to and the pathway to get into your next home, and not to be all nervous about it, because I'm not nervous about it. Okay, there is more transparency for buyers and sellers now than there ever was. And now it just makes sense. Everybody picks who they're working with, and we sign a written agreement. Who wants to work with somebody without having an outline of what we're going to do and what we're going to get paid? This is like the best thing ever. And the sooner we adapt to it, the more customers we're going to be able to serve, the more clients that are going to refer us, and the more abundance we're going to find in our lives. All right. And then once we're in this abundance field, I want everybody to buy investment properties and do what you need to do for yourself, because you deserve it. Any other questions? Or Robert, I'm not good at reading all the comments. Robert, Barbara, anybody, other comments I've ignored?
Hello. Hi, Rob. It's Erica. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How you doing, Erica?
I'm good, thank you. Let me ask a question. So I am putting properties on the market today, basically. And I know we're not on the 17 yet where everything's changing, and the properties I already have on the market. So am I going to have to change I'm trying to understand how we're going to do the commission that right now we're changing. So how am I going to do the listings I already have on the market, and the ones that I'm going to, the ones that are coming in? I know we're going to have to not put anything there.
So let me break that down into two pieces, and then, as to not confuse with like the state law changes, I'm going to suggest that question and other ones be done on the Florida state one. But my understanding is that in no state are we being prohibited from offering compensation, just the way that we share it. Okay, so if you have something signed up before the change, then you're not going to be forced to do a new agreement. You just won't be able to syndicate it through the MLSs, through the settlement rules. And then what was the second part of your question, Erica?
So yeah, so the ones I already have on the market, I would have to change them on the MLS, not putting any commission to buyer's agent.
The MLS
Fields are gonna go away.
the MLS will just eliminate that field. So Erica, you don't really need to do anything on that. But Erica, so like we're getting tripped up as an industry, because our job is still on the day before and the day after these rules take effect. Our job is still, to take our homeowners and sell our house for the highest possible price that we can in the shortest period of time, right, for a reasonable price. So like Sharon, with the modified list modification, there may be an addendum to the listing, but that's a state thing that I'm going to ask us to go on the on those calls that we have dedicated for this, because sometimes we talk to leadership at the state level of NAR, or even people at our like regulatory levels, and they don't even have the right answers. So don't get discouraged if there's, we're making bold calls, and we might not be right 100% of the time, but we're giving you the best information that's available in a timely manner so that we can take care of our clients. Because if we freeze up, Erica, it's like the deer that gets run over, because when we look at it, we're like, I don't know what to do. Bam, you're done. Okay. We need to take decisive action on what we do.
So just to wrap it up, I don't want to, take much of your time. So the listings I'm putting on the market like today and tomorrow, because I have a couple listings that I'm putting on the MLS. Those for right now, I can put the commission in there.
Yes.
Okay. For the buyer's agent.
Right.
Okay. Perfect.
So all that stuff is really important, Erica. And I appreciate you asking that, and the people putting comments, incredibly important, but that's not our mission. Like those are the details that we need to know, right? We need to not know, we need to understand and be able to explain it, right?
You're right.
And that will come with time, and there's going to be some level of discomfort because nobody knows all the answers right now, and the standard of practice and how it goes is going to change. I look forward to that change. Many people are fearful of that, and that's the difference between, that's we had Tom Toole talk about the buffalo runs into the storm because he gets out of it quicker, right?
Got it. Yeah.
You don't want to be like, oh, the storm is coming. Let me back up a little bit. Let me stay like we take decisive action here. That's what I want to lead you to do. Okay.
Okay.
Rob, I
yes.
see that for my understanding is that once the change takes in effect, then the MLS will just take out the compensation portion of the listing. I know Garden State already did that.
So if you have a listing contract that's in effect, you're not going to have to re-sign it. There may be certain MLSs that require an addendum, but we're getting into the spot that I don't want to get into today. Today's conversation is about, we need to understand that, but many of us, this is the focus of what we're spending our time on. And what we need to focus on is how do we help our clients and our prospective clients? And how
Robert had one more question for you. If hypothetically you have a listing that you listed at 4%, and now that people are hearing about it and your client says, oh, now I understand I don't have to pay. Can I just pay your commission 2%? I don't want to pay a buyer's commission. Although you already have a contract, what happens?
So can I tell you, I have two comments on that. One is, I would not wait for the customer to come to me. If I have active listings, I'm communicating with them regularly, and I would educate them on that. I'd say, hey, there's some changes going on. There's noise in the marketplace. I just want to let you know that you never were required to offer compensation to a buyer's agent. I just wanted to reaffirm that, because if they come to you, it's a different conversation than if you come to them. That's my comment on that.
Rob, don't forget to also tell the group that Max Center has a robust buyer's agency presentation, customizable, already ready for them. They just need to plug and play their specifics.
Yeah, and all these other things that we've talked about, Fozzie, at that point, like these are all critical, pieces to how we communicate our value. But today's conversation, I am not intimidated by any conversation about how I can deliver value and help somebody buy or sell a house. And that has not changed. And my value has gone up because I know what's happening. I understand what's happening, and I can explain it. And there are some people that are not going to choose to work with me, which is fine. Okay. You don't get every listing you go on. And if you do get every listing you go on, then you're not going on enough listing appointments. You're only doing the layups. Okay. I want to be in competition. I want to lose some business. And I want to learn from it. Okay. Because sometimes the best listing is the one you don't take. If I go on 20 listing appointments, there's at least one person that is so insane or unreasonable in their expectations that I don't want to work with them. And that's my choice. And I'm not being arrogant. I'm just being real. Like if you've been in the business long enough and you had a bad listing, okay, that is a monkey on your back. That's a cloud over your head until it's done. Every time you call, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to talk to them. They're so annoying. They're so unreasonable. They're so, right? So that's the way I want everybody to think. And I see some smiles there because you had those people, right? And I know Ron must have had two of them because he's got like a big smile. But that's the way the business works, right? And our industry, it's 10:30. I'll stay on a couple extra minutes, but our industry operates on the exception and then complaining about it on the electronic water cooler, right? Because it used to be you go by the coffee pot or, you know, you complain about this customer who did this to me, and you spend all your time telling them about the one bad transaction that you had, when you're allowing that to influence your mindset, right? It doesn't bother me. That's part of what happens in the business. You know, the most successful people in this business, when a deal dies because of inspection issues or whatnot, it doesn't faze them, because they know over a year there's going to be 3 deals out of their 42 that die from inspection issues. And that just happens to be one of them. And sometimes they all happen in the same week, but that doesn't matter, because as long as you've done the right process and you brought the best you to the game, you brought the best you to the conversation, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. Okay, because over time you're gonna have happy clients and you're gonna win. So yeah, I just hope it changes your mindset just 10%, and that's gonna be that 10% that really moves the needle for you and allows you to help people. Because that even if you've been in the business for 40 years, you know, when you help a first-time home buyer that was challenging get that process done and give them the keys at closing, it's more than just a paycheck. All right, we live vicariously through those clients. Joelle, I know I've seen you do it with your buyers and the euphoria that they have. Like, they think that you gave them the money personally, and that matters. It does. So I'm here for. I want to keep it not like forms related and those type of things, because we get in the weeds with the different states. But what other questions do you have? And has anybody gotten a little bit of a boost in their confidence and a little bit more of an ability to say that there's going to be a lot of noise, but now I have a process for handling that, and that's not going to get into fear. That's not going to get to interfere with my mission.
Rob, I have a real learning from yesterday. It was I thought I was the most prepared person on earth for this, and on the listing side, 70+ calls for people asking what the commissions would be issued out, right? And and even Steven on my team, he had a new listing, same result. He said, all I did was hang up the phone and pick up the phone from the listing side. And I think that, you know, from a buyer's agency piece, if we're talking about buyers on the call, I think all buyer's agents, you need to not pit yourself against a listing agent who didn't immediately call you back, because they're suffering pretty hard if they have decent volume, keeping up with it. And we all kind of have to work through this change together. And I called everyone back, but it wasn't in a timely fashion like it normally is, because it's literally impossible. And it was you turn the switch for the day. But I think if buyer's agents go out and tell their clients that listing agent isn't calling me back or they're not responding, and that's just not a context we need to do in a professional business.
And Glenn, so on a like, this is where you provide juice for me, because like I'm thinking of ways that we can make this system more predictable. But we could put in the listing for compensation details, text the property address to Glenn Baker, right? And you can set up an autoresponder to say, hey, thanks for your interest in 52 Maple Avenue. The co-op compensation is 2%, 2.5%. Then it can be an auto response.
Yep, we have it on our website, and then we put it in showing time so it replies with it. But also remember that a lot of people aren't coming through typical measures, right? They're out on the road and they're calling, and you're not going to stop that. So we're putting in place a conversational AI system that you can call in and it'll answer those for them automatically and text it back.
Right, but Glenn, that's what I love about it, because like you're figuring out the solution, right? Because there's a problem you identified, and you're talking about AI solution. That's what I love about this business, is those who can figure it out quicker, right? Like when we had like a gazillion offers, I had Carlos Turner created a system where he said, email it with this, and this, and it would automatically populate into a spreadsheet. The seller could go to that link and see all the offers, and then all Carlos had to do was interpret the offers for the client, instead of having to field all those calls and then forward so challenges create innovation, and we have the smartest we have the smartest people in the game here.
Wow.
And I'm I know we're gonna win. Glenn, I know you're gonna figure it out, and I know you're gonna share it, and I'm not concerned about it. You found a problem, and you'll find a solution, and
Hey,
others won't find that solution. Others will be fumbling and they'll probably be in trouble because they're not getting back to people.
Hey,
But
Rob,
that's not
I
going to be on our
understand.
field. Yes, Mickey.
We had a lawyer, we met with a lawyer a couple of days ago, or last week rather, who said that you can put in the buyer's, in the agent remarks that are paying 2% seller's concession. You can't say buyer's commission, but you could say seller's concession.
Yeah, and Mickey, but there are a lot of people that are going to offer buyer's commission still. Okay.
I know, but I'm saying like that's a one way of saying, you know, letting
So-
the people know that there's a 2%. You could use the verbiage seller's concession, but that you are getting paid.
Yep. And
I don't think you could put the 2% in there. I think you could put,
hold on.
The
So
lawyer said yes.
and Mickey, we're gonna put that on the FAQs for, you know, the page. But I do believe that you are correct, but it might be different in Florida. But
Rebecca spoke to
what-
NJMLS also, and they confirmed that we could say it.
I understood. But I want everybody to leave
Bob?
here with, before Colleen, I want everybody to leave here knowing that the service that we provide, you know, when the pandemic was shut down, we were deemed an essential service because people need to eat food and they need to have housing. Okay, I don't take that lightly. Our mission is still the same. The path that we take to get there has changed a little bit, but let's not distract ourselves by the change. Let's keep our eye on the mission and how many people that we can help and serve. And we will get our unfair share of the business. We're not going to get everything right. We're not going to focus on the missteps, Mickey, because we're going to have missteps. Because if we wait for everything to be, you know, triple signed off on by every attorney, we're going to be run over by the truck like the deer.
Okay, last question for you, Rob. In the MAP Center, I forget her name, previously mentioned that we can find a buyer's agreement in the MAP Center. Where is it? I'm there and I
No,
don't see
it's a buyer presentation, not a buyer's agreement.
presentation. Sorry, buyer's presentation.
Yeah.
Where is it?
So Fazia, maybe what we'll do is we'll do a like a Mac Center session so that we can refresh everybody. If you go into Mac Center and you just play around, you can look under buyer presentation, you can find it. And sometimes, you know, it takes just you making a little bit of an effort and pecking around there for it to have real value for you. And you'll find stuff that you didn't even know was there.
Correct. I'll send it out to everyone.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it. Yeah, Fazio will send it to you, but I'm going to leave it there and just say, look, you know, people still are going to buy houses. They're going to sell houses. Interest rates are dropping. You know, don't have the regret of not being prepared. That's the worst regret of all. All right. And if you can, you know, help our vetted partners, you know, our lenders and our title, we humbly appreciate that. Part of the business model that we have. And as always, we're here to help. I'll see you all next Friday and eliminate the noise, focus on taking care of your clients, and have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Rob?
Right.
Yes.
Before everybody goes, I wanted to ask them, like the AI idea of answering the question about compensation and so forth. If we have a wealth of knowledge with our associates, they're really top notch. If you guys could share with us your successes and what's working for you and what you've discovered to make it easier so that we can share it with everyone else, it would be much appreciated.
Well,
Thank you.
And Colleen, I think we already have a culture where I'm sure when Glenn figures it out, he'll be on a Friday call and telling everybody how he did it, which is what I love about our culture and our organization is, you know, we figure out solutions and we share. We don't say, I spent all the time to do it. I'm not gonna put it out to everybody, but
It's the best.
That means a lot. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye.